What's going on, everybody? This is Altinator784, and today we're going to do some flying on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. So today we're going to be doing one of my routine flights, which is flying from Montreal Pierre-Elliott Trudeau Airport to Chicago's O'Hare International. O'Hare International is the biggest airport in Chicago and the third busiest airport in the US. And also, an interesting note, this is the airport that you see on the Home Alone movies when the McAllister family are running late to their flights in both Home Alone 1 and 2. So, I'm not going to be using the preset flight plan for this flight. As you can see here, you could choose all the selections of your flights. I already have a software that I use called SimBrief, which allows me to plug in my waypoints. So I'm going to jump right into the game. But first, the plane I'm going to be flying today is the Air Canada variant of the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. So without further ado, let's jump right in. I hope everyone's having a great day today. Here in Montreal, the weather isn't the best. It's kind of cloudy outside and it looks like it's going to rain again. Yesterday it was raining cats and dogs, which wasn't a good day to go for a walk, but then again, who can go anywhere these days with this damn pandemic? And I just want to give a big shout out to my Uncle Joe. Hi, Uncle Joey. I hope you, Zia, and Gloria are watching. And I hope you threes are doing well. Gloria, stay in school and faro brav. And I hope my friends are watching. Shout out to Jer, Samantha, Katia, and Ariana. Love you all. Hope to see you soon. So while this game loads, I just want to point out that this is a heavy demanding game, especially in terms of your GPU. Like, at the current time, right now, I'm only using an NVIDIA GTX 980 4GB GDDR5. They say it's one of the recommended from Microsoft, but if you want me to be blatantly honest, I put it at the bare minimum at most. If you want a GPU that has, Tim the Two Man Tater would say, more power, go for something along a GTX 1660 or higher if you're on the NVIDIA side. If you're on the Radeon, I've seen people say that they've been able to do some pretty good flights with FPS of like 30 and more with a 580, but I cannot say that's true because I did have previously an Radeon RX 5550 XT, and I was actually able to run 4K at around 25-30 FPS, which, okay, a lot of people say 25-30 FPS is crap, but for a game like Flight Simulator 2020, it's actually within the normal range. So, to start off with flying, as you can see, this is the cockpit, and the cockpit is the inside of, I would say, like the driver's seat of an airplane. So you guys are probably wondering right now, what are all these buttons for? So Gabe, how are you going to get taken off up in the air? Very simple. So, as you can see over here, I have my flight panel here. So the first thing we're going to do is, we're going to start the ground power for the aircraft. So first thing we're going to do is, I'm going to turn off the APU generators. So the APU generator, what that basically is, if we take a quick look right over here, on the tail of the plane, this little silver part over here, there's like a little black hole that looks like a propeller or turbine. This is what we call the APU, and what it does is that it powers the aircraft from the back all the way to the rest of the plane, especially your fuel pumps and your engines. And this is what gives it the ignition. If I were to do an analogy, just to put it in plain English so I don't go too technical, think of when you start your car, you insert your key and it makes an electrical spark that starts your engines. That's basically the same thing. The only thing is, an airplane like this, there is no key. But there are some aircrafts that do require keys, mainly the small little putt-putts like the Cessnas. And for those of you from Montreal in the East End, if you ever walked on the Gouin near the Ice Cream Castle and you happen to see that little mini airstrip there with all those Cessnas, those actually need a key to start, just like a car. So getting back in the aircraft, I'm going to turn off the APU, like I said. And I'm going to turn on the ground power, which is these three right here, as well as the battery. Yes, airplanes do have batteries, just like cars. Without battery, well, let's just say your plane ain't going anywhere, bud. So now we started the plane and you can hear it revving up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start turning on some lights. And the two lights we're going to be focusing on right now that are very important before we start anything else are these two here, navigation and beacon. Your navigation will basically are lights that allow other aircraft up in the air to get a visual on you to avoid collision and also for traffic. So this is a must. So we're going to turn this on. Beacon lights are these red flashing lights that you see up in the air that also do the same thing, but it plays a crucial role when you're on the ground at an airport because it allows the ground crew, as you can see here, there's some guys walking around, like there's like a dude right there in yellow. This allows them to let them know that you are ready for takeoff or you're going to be taxiing from the gate to the runway. And it also allows for secure space between all the ground crew and the aircraft. For example, if the truck has to come and put luggages in the cargo hold, it allows a distance. Same thing with this truck here, which is your catering truck. This is the one that provides the food and drinks on the plane, so you'll be able to eat a good meal. Besides the cheap peanuts you get in coach, that's probably for all the rich snobs out there on first class. Sorry, no prejudice there, but I had to throw in a curveball right there and just make a little stereotypical joke. And if you guys want to know, I have never actually flown on a plane in my life, never. And I'm hoping, well, obviously not now, but once this godforsaken pandemic is over, I'm really hoping to go on a flight somewhere. Whether it be Florida, Italy, Paris, wherever fate takes me. So we just turn on these lights here. And as you saw, I turned on some lights right here. This is just like some lights to generate some brightness in the cockpit. Think of it as the inside lights that you turn on in your car, the ones that are on the top near your whatchamacallit there, rear view mirror. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn on the anti-ice, just like you have in a car in the winter to get rid of all the frost on the windshield. Well, same thing over here. If you actually fly into a cloud storm of snow, your windshield over here actually freezes up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn on the anti-ice right away, and especially that they're announcing rain, and in certain parts in the world where there's snow, I always leave this on automatic, so I don't have to worry about jumping back in and switching on and off. So with that done, next step, the fuel pumps. This is pretty much like, let's see, how can I put it in simple terms? Your spark plugs. This is what enables the engine mixtures to ignite and make sure the fuel mixture is at a constant level and ensures that the turbines in the aircraft are spinning. Because without this, if I were to turn on my engines and take off right now, these are my two engines, without the fuel pumps on, nothing is moving. You're just going to be on neutral or stalled. So we're going to turn the balance, crossfeed, which ensures that both engines get an equal mixture, center pumps, left pumps in engine 1, and right pumps in engine 2. Now we're just gonna go fix some lights over here. And once I have all the lights on, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna show and demonstrate to you guys how I plan my flights. Right, onboard brightness, there we go. There's another one here for the aisle. Okay, there we go. Now, another cool thing that's actually really cool in Flight Sim, you could disable the visibility of your yoke. So, don't worry guys, I'm going to be able to put it back here. This just makes it easier for me to turn on the lights on the right hand panel. Alright, flood panels on. Okay, bingo. Alright, now that all the lights are on, now we're going to jump into planning our flights. My favorite part of any aircraft. So, as you can see here, you guys are wondering, what are all these buttons here? Well, this is what basically commands the plane, and you tell it where you're located, where you're going to fly, which airport you're leaving from, and which airport you're going to go. And as you can see here, it shows some basic generic stuff, like as you can see, Air AC, which is the abbreviation for Air Canada, AC Air Canada, English French, model, well the plane is Boeing 787-10 Dreamliner. So now what we're going to do is, as you can see over here on the bottom right hand side, there's an indicator that says POS INIT. This is your position indicator. This is where you tell the computer system on your airplane where exactly in the world you are at. So as you can see over here, I just opened up another page, and there's some boxes here that are empty, and there's little white squares. When there are white squares like this, all I have to do is I have to punch in some codes. So as you can see on the top left here, it says airport. This over here is asking me to tell it which airport I am at. So right now I am at Montreal's Pierre-Elliott Trudeau Airport. So I have to put in the airport code. Now here in Canada, every airport starts with a letter C and the 4-digit ICAO registry codes. There's another registry called ITA, which uses only 3 codes. In this case, in Montreal, the 3-digit code system, the code letters are YUL. In Flight Simulator, we're using the ICAO, which is 4 digits. So in this case, it'll be C for Charlie, Y for Yankee, U for Uniform, and L for Lima. CYUL. So there, it recognized it. So now it has an idea of where I'm at, which is Dorval Pierre-Elliott Trudeau Airport. And this over here where it shows N45W073, this is what you call in geography your longitude and latitude. So what I have to do with this now, I have to copy paste it in here to confirm. So I click here to copy, and over here it shows it's ready to be copied, and I just paste it. And now it confirms on my GPS I'm actually at Montreal Dorval Pierre-Elliott Trudeau International Airport. The next step I have to command it is at which gate I am stationed at. In this case, with any Boeing airplane you fly in Montreal in Flight Simulator, whether it's the Boeing 787, the 737, or the 747, you're always by default plopped at gate 36, which is primarily used at Dorval's airport for heavy jets. And all the other jets like the Airbus A320neo, A310, A380s, they're at all the other terminals. But here's an interesting fact, folks. If I were to zoom out right now, at Montreal's airport, there are 3 terminals. And the funny part is that if I'm going to Chicago, like I said, I should actually be positioned at the far right on this Y-shaped terminal concourse over here, as you can see right over here. So technically I am close to it, but I should be more towards the far end. Why that is because at Dorval's airport, this side over here is mainly used for domestic, which basically means if you're doing Quebec to Quebec flights, like here to Quebec City, or Canada to Canada, whether it be Toronto or Vancouver. Now, on the far right, as I just explained seconds ago, this is usually used for transcontinental, meaning US flights or Mexico or even Cuba. And on the other side over here, this side, as where my mouse is circling, this is mainly the international terminal for Dorval. So I hope that was a good demonstration. So I'm going to jump back in here. So I'm going to punch in right now gate 36. There we go, it's been confirmed as it already recognizes it. Now this side over here where there's like a little angle symbol which says set HDG. That's your heading on your map, showing at what angle in a 360-degree angle are you positioned on GPS. So as you can see here, I'm at 196. So we're gonna punch that in right now. 196. Oops. It does tend to do that sometimes, where it goes to a different random page. Okay, so the position coordinates have been punched in. Now we can start doing our routing. This is where I tell the plane where I'm at. So it shows origin and destination. As we already know, I'm in Montreal right now, so we're gonna punch in Charlie Yankee Uniform Lima, confirm. Destination, in this case Chicago O'Hare. So the code for Chicago is as follows: K for Kilo, O for Oscar, R for Romeo, and D for Delta. In other words, I just call it cord. It should be any minute now. It should be accepting it. There is a delay sometimes in the system for it to recognize. There we go. It recognized. Now here's another one, another coordinate or command I put, which is the runway. I'm not gonna fiddle with this yet until the tower tells me at which runway exactly is active and which one they're allowing me to take off from. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're not gonna touch any of these two things just yet, because if you do that, you're gonna skip entirely your flight plan. So we're gonna click on next page. Now you guys are wondering, why is this page blank? What do you do here? Well, here, this is where you plug in your waypoints. Your waypoints is basically your direction points on where you're flying up in the air. Think of it as if you were to use your GPS and it tells you in 5 kilometers you have to turn on this so-and-so street to go to your destination. Well, that's more or less basically the same thing. So what we're going to do is, on my iPad I have the coordinates. I'm just going to start punching them in for this one. And we're going to start punching them in. So the first coordinate is waypoint Bubak, which is B-U-B-A-K. Now what we're going to do is, we're going to punch it into this spot that says 2. And there we go, it accepted it. Once it accepts, it means it recognizes it in the database of Flight Sim in the world map. Sometimes there's some waypoints that are not recognized, even though on websites like SimBrief or FlightSim.to show it. Sometimes it doesn't. Now, as you can see, there's another spot that says Via. This is your airway. Some waypoints do have different airways. Some are direct, and some are a specific airspace, whether it be the Charlie airspace or the Bravo, Montreal airspace, Toronto airspace, etc. If it shows direct, that means you're not in any particular airspace. You can go directly to that spot. Now the next waypoint we're going to put is the following: Charlie Sierra Tango 3, which is a helicopter landing spot just near Il Bizarre and Vaudreuil. Perfect. The next one is Verti, Victor, Echo, Romeo, Tango, and India. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. There we go. The next one is Avon. A for Alpha, Victor, Victor, Oscar, and November. As you can see, it does take a bit of time. Sometimes it could take like a minute, sometimes it doesn't. And then there are some scenarios where you put in a waypoint and there's multiple waypoints with the same name, which happens. But you have to check with your sim brief to see the precise longitude and latitude, which you'll be seeing in a short period of time here as I'm punching in more waypoints. The next one is Alpod. A-L-P-O-D. Now, as you can see, I filled up one page. So how do I fill up another page? Simple. Go to page 2. So now that we're at Alpod, the next one is Iptos. I-P-T-O-S. There we go. The next one is Fibli. Victor, India, Bravo, Lima, India. Alrighty, next one, Charlie, Papa, Quebec, 4. There we go. Next one, Charlie, Tango, Hotel, 8. Perfect. We're almost done here. Next one is Charlie, Charlie, November, 4. Great. Next one, Charlie, Papa, Hotel 9. So as you can see, we're still within Canada. This is mainly around Ontario. But as we head more west, we're going to fly over Michigan as well as the Lake Michigan. And then start our descent into Chicago. So after this one, it is Charlie, Yankee, Golf, Delta. Next is Z-Rock, which is Zulu, Echo, Romeo, Oscar, Golf. Then next one is Airspace 77G. Perfect. Then we're flying over Michigan, a couple miles north of Detroit. And this waypoint is called Fibbin. And the next waypoint is Flint County International Airport, which is Kilo Foxtrot November Tango. This one might ask me to confirm. Okay, as you can see, there's a slight delay here. There we go. Next waypoint is Fonco. Foxtrot Oscar November Kilo Oscar. Alright, the next waypoint is Coldo, which is Charlie Oscar Lima Delta Oscar. Perfect. And the next waypoint is Michigan Airspace number 10, which the abbreviation for Michigan is MI number 10. There we go. Next airspace is Niner Delta Niner. And we have 2 more left. Next waypoint is Jusro. Jusro. And the next one is Claude, like Claude Julien. To all you Canadians fans out there, if you guys want to do your predictions if Bergevin's going to get fired, I'm hoping so. And at the odds of it, with Molson around and those two, what are we now, 10 years that moron is there? God help us. Okay, so now that we put in the coordinates and waypoints, as you can see, there's a green light that just lit up. That's to execute and confirm your entire plan. I'm not going to hit that green light just yet because I have to put in the command at which flap levels my takeoff and what speed I'm going to be going at. So next is performance. So over here, what I'm going to do is I have a little option that allows me to automatically fuel without waiting for your fuel truck. I'm going to set this at full tank. So this box over here is your reserve tank, and it is 787 Dreamliner. You have a reserve tank of 37.3 gallons of fuel. So we're going to punch that in. And the CRZ ALT, this is your cruising altitude. In this case, I'm going to be cruising at 25,000 feet. So I only put in 250 because every time you put in a flight level, it goes by increments of 10 or 100. So if you're wanting to fly at 25,000 feet in the air traffic control will recognize that as flight level 250. So I'm going to put that in there. Now this guy over here, this is your cost index. This is how much it costs for every ton of gas. Normally by default, I've seen this on many people's YouTube accounts. For some reason they always set it at 29. I cannot give you a definitive answer what this really means. I just follow what people do on YouTube as I'm getting the hang of flying and getting into the flight simulator gig. So I do apologize as I do not have that much knowledge of this, but I think it has something to do with the cost of gas or whatever the case may be. Anyways, moving forward, we're going to go all the way to this page, which is the takeoff. So this is where, like I said, at what flap level we're going to be taking off at. So in this case, in my Boeing, I set it at 17 degrees because it only requires me to go at full power with a short speed level and a quick and smooth takeoff. So in this case, at 174 knots. And if you guys want to know something very interesting, I just learned this while learning math. For every knot, you're actually traveling at 1.85 kilometers, which is actually quite interesting. So if ever you guys are in a math class or whatever, and you're stumped on a math question where it says at what speed is this plane flying at, and if you have to do conversion of knots to kilometers, always remember the golden rule: 1 knot equals 1.85 kilometers. So now that it's done, that's executed. I'm gonna go back to this. Alright, next step, guys. We're gonna go to communicate with the tower. So I'm not gonna use my actual voice because it's an automated system in here, and I'm gonna show you how it is. So I'm gonna change the ATC channel to ground, which in this case it's channel 121.900. Now I'm going to go next to clearance, which should be another channel, with, yeah, exactly, which is 125.600. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to inform the tower that I'm planning on flying out of Montreal and heading to Chicago, but I need an assigned runway. So I'm going to let them let the air traffic control know that. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Bear with me, my keyboard in flight sim does that sometimes. There we go.
Montreal clearance delivery, Air Canada 779er, ready to copy IFR clearance to O'Hare. Air Canada 779er is cleared to O'Hare Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 24 right climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Departure frequency is 124.65 squawk 7462.
Alright, so now we have to read that back to acknowledge.
Air Canada 779er.
So as you can see, we're taking off from runway 24 right, and I have to climb and maintain 6,000 feet on my takeoff. Runway 24 right, if you guys want to know where that's facing, all my Montrealers out there, that's the runway that faces Highway 13.
Contact ground on 121.9 when ready to taxi.
Alright, so we're not going to eject just yet because I have to fill the plane with passengers. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to load up this this nifty tool I use called PackX, which is short for passenger and crew experience. And this is what gives me a real-life simulation of if I were an airline pilot for Air Canada or any major airline in the world. So I'm just gonna wait for this little dongle to turn up here. Did it even load? No, okay. That didn't go well. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no! No, it just Oh, son of a bitch. You have got to be kidding me. Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize for this. I don't know what just happened. I was just resetting my PackX mod. And the game just crashed to my desktop. Good job, Microsoft. So much for all those 10 gigs of patches. Alright guys, I'm gonna reset the game here and I'm gonna connect back on live in about 5 minutes. So stay put.